I'm Anil Kumar, and here is a challenge question on midpoint of line segments. Now, most of my students think that this is probably the easiest chapter, but we do have few very interesting questions which could be challenging. This is one of them. I would like you to pause the video, copy the question, try it out to appreciate how beautiful this question is. The question here is, the length of line segment with midpoint at 5 minus 4 is square root 8. Determine some possible coordinates of the endpoints of this segment. Now there are a few easy solutions. Whenever you have open-ended question like this, you have choice of selecting your lines. So whenever midpoints are given to you, easy solutions could be selecting vertical lines or let's say horizontal lines, right? So they could be easy solutions where you can say, well, this is my midpoint which is given as 5 minus 4. The length of the segment is given, which is square root 8. So either side it will be half of square root 8 and you might get some solution. Now what I will provide you with in this particular case is a line which is not indeed vertical or horizontal. So I'm considering a very general solution, right? So we'll go in for a general solution. Okay, so that is the whole idea to make it more interesting. And you'll notice that the question says determine some possible coordinates. So some possible coordinates, I'll give you one set of coordinates, you can find others, right? So that's the whole idea. Okay, so what we will consider is, just let me sketch a general line here. Let us say this is our line going through the point 5 minus 4 and these are my endpoints, right? So I'm saying these endpoints are A and B, right? So let us say this line segment AB has midpoint 5 minus 4. We need to find coordinates of point A and B, which are the endpoints, right? So let me write these coordinates as x1, y1 and x2, y2. Since 5 is the midpoint, we can write our equation as x1 plus x2 divided by 2 is equal to 5. That gives us x1 plus x2 is equal to 10. We can get another equation by writing y1 plus y2 divided by 2 as equal to minus 4, or y1 plus y2 is equals to minus 8. So we get two different equations, but we have 4 variables, correct? We have 4 variables. So indeed, we need 4 equations to solve this particular question. We can get the other 2 by using distance formula. Since the distance between A and B is square root 8, right? Distance formula, is distance square, which is, let's say d square is equal to x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square, right? In our case, distance square is given to us as square root of 8. So we could write this as square root of 8 square, which is 8, right? And that is equal to x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. So that is how we get one complicated equation. Now how to get 2 equations from here? That is the key for solving such questions. What we get here is basically 8 is equals to sum of squares of 2 numbers. To make our solution simpler, we can say that this square is 4 and this square is also 4. We know 4 plus 4 is 8, right? So what we are trying to say here is, let the equation be x2 minus x1 square equals to 4, right? That means x2 minus x1 could be equals to square root of 4, which is plus minus 2. So when you do square root of 4, let me write square root of 4 first, which could be plus or minus 2. So we get two equations from here. Similarly, we can say y2 minus y1 is equal to square root of 4, right? Which could be plus or minus 2, right? So that gives us two more equations. So we do have now 4 equations to solve and get the values of x1, y1, x2, y2, right? So now I hope you appreciate how to solve such a question. You can actually pause the video at this stage and find the solution, right? So what we will do here is continue with the solution. Here is how we'll continue. So we have equation 1 as x1 plus x2 equals to 10. We'll call one of these equation as 3, the other one as 4, and we'll select positive numbers just to make it simple, right? So we have x2 minus x1 as 2, right? So these two equations, that is from equation, this is our equation 1, this is equation 3. Now if you add them up, right, if you add these equations, that is to say if you do equation 1 plus equation 3, then what do you get? x1 minus x1 is 0. You get 2 times x2 as equals to 12, and then x2 is equals to 12 divided by 2, which is 6. So you get the value of x2. Once you get the value of x2, you can find x1, right? So from equation 1, we know x1 is 10 minus x2, which is 10 minus 6, and that is 4. So we get the value of x1. You get an idea, right? So we get values of x1 and x2, right? So we got the x coordinates for both the points. Now let us find the y coordinates. So strategy is exactly same. We do have one equation which is y1 plus y2 is equals to minus 8. Now from here, two equations we could select, we'll select with positive 2. So we could do y2 minus y1 as 2, right? Now when you add this, let me call this is our equation number 2, and this is equation number 4. So if you add equation 2 and 4, if you add them up, right, so what we are doing is kind of adding them up, right? So if you add them, y1 minus y1 is 0, you get 2y2 equals to minus 6. y2 is minus 6 divided by 2 as minus 3. So we get y2. You can find y1 using one of these equations. y1 is equals to minus 8 minus y2, which is minus 8 minus minus 3, so which is minus 8 plus 3 or minus 5, right? So we get the value of y2 as minus 5. So we have these values with us, right? Now once we have the values, we can write down the answer. So the answer for us is the coordinates for point A, which is x1, y1. x1 is 4, y1 is minus 8, and x2 coordinates for point B, let me write B here now, B is x2, y2, which is 6, and y2 is minus 5, right? So 6 and minus 5. You can check if the midpoint is 5 and minus 4 or not. Add 4 and 6, 10, divided by 2 is 5, add minus 8 and minus 5. So there is a mistake here. Sorry. y1, as you can see here, y1 is minus 5. I wrote it wrong. So y1 is minus 5, I'm sorry. And y2 is minus 3. So this is minus 3. So that is y2, right? So that is the solution. So let me write down clearly the answer, right? So we get coordinates for point A as 4 minus 5, and coordinates of B is 6 minus 3, right? So that is your y2, right? This is y2. And this is y1 minus 5. Correct. And x2 is 6. x1, we say x1 is 4, right? So this is x1. So that is how you solve this particular question. I hope the strategy is absolutely clear. Thank you and all the best.